shoulder, man.
Just look at that. It's not a monster, but it's always nice when you get a bite that you know your rigs are working effectively. This rod has been laying in the water for over 6 hours, and this fish still managed to pick up the bait, which means everything was ready. So it's a great confidence booster for targeting bigger fish.
I have a little bay on my left, just a small bay where I've seen some fish activity. I'm just going to put a rig out there with no bait at all.
The helicopter rig with that spinner rig and a single pop-up there. I'm just going to walk down here, and you can see down this bank there's some vegetation in the water here, but right in the shallows. I'm just going to lower this rig in front of this vegetation, because that's where the carp are cruising up and down during the day. And obviously it's close to spawning time as well, so they're getting ready to come into all of these shallow areas. So I'm just going to walk down here where I see some tails sticking out and stuff. I'm not going to bother those fish, but just in front of them I'm just going to lower this rig in and try and catch another one.
So that's what I've done. I put a spinner rig out with a single pop-up, just a single bait, out into the margin in about 3 foot of water. So very shallow water, but that's where I've seen the fish activity. That's where I've seen them swimming. So I knew there was a very good chance of a fish just coming by and picking up that bait. So I put out this bait, and not long after I put it out, about 15 minutes, I have this absolutely screaming take.
And now I don't have a landing net. Here, it's a nice one too. So I just lowered this rod into the margin, because during the daytime the fish don't really want to respond to the bait or the feed that we put out. And I just lowered this rig into the margin with no feed there at all, just a pop-up, and it took off like an absolute demon. So that's a result for the daytime, because usually here we don't catch lots of fish during the day, but now I know why, because they swim in the margins. Nice. I just caught this beautiful common, about 5 kilograms. It's not massive, but during the daytime when we don't catch fish on the feeding spots out there, these fish cruise around in the margins all the time. So by just lowering in a single pop-up on that spinner rig with a curved shank hook, no bait at all, nothing, just where I saw some fish activity, I just lowered in that rig, and this fish didn't hesitate to pick it up. Whew. You guys probably can't see this, but there's a fence in the water. It runs about 10 meters into the water, and every single fish wants to go into that fence, obviously, to try and free themselves from the hangman's noose. Tell you what, this margin spot during the daytime is the way to go. There we go. Some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger, but it doesn't matter. We're making a plan and it's a result. We're getting bites. I don't know what I'm casting onto there. I'm just casting in the bankside growth where the fish are patrolling up and down. So there might be thick weed beds and choddy bits and dead old leaves and weed laying around there. But this rig, you're always certain that it's presenting the bait. And here's the proof again. I casted this rig without any knowledge of where it's landing, but I know it's presenting. It's hooked in the bottom lip, and I really had to pull this fish hard. Even though it's not a big fish, I really had to pull him hard to keep it out of that fence that's running into the water. And that hook hold was just superb. Lively little male, but a beautiful fish nonetheless. Check this orange on the tail. Wow, that is bright orange. I think he's showing off his colors to his female friends.
Just no bait at all, just placing that little spinner rig close to the margins where these fish patrol up and down, and it proved to be a very successful tactic for the daytime. Obviously after that, as the sun started setting and we had another nice dinner, I was itching to get the baits back out onto that feed spot, because I knew by now I've given the fish like all day to come in, start feeding and gain confidence. So I just knew from previous experiences that when I put 2 baits on that spot, it's not going to be long. And lo and behold, that was what it was like.
Fish are really responding well to the bait that I've put out earlier today, and it's still mayhem, and I'm getting literally fish after fish, bite after bite, every cast on those white pop-ups. They just stand out on the bottom and they just can't resist. Another nice round short fat little carp. So nice to catch them and put them back safely.
The action just didn't stop. Throughout the night, I had to take the rods out to make dinner. I had to take the rods out of the water to make coffee or get anything done. Any filming work, anything that we had to do, I literally had to take the rods out of the water. Otherwise, I would just be standing in the water all the time. We had double ups, myself and Gilbert. We had double ups while we were playing a fish in the water. The other rod would take off as well. So this was really enjoyable. And obviously, as a result of this, we learned a lot of things about rigs, baits, size of baits, smaller baits versus bigger baits, bottom baits versus pop-ups. And this is always nice. When the fish are active like this and they're feeding, you can play around with these things and you really learn a lot. And everything that we learned that night, we took into day 3 to try and snare some of these bigger carp.